Picture this, a city pulsing with euphoria. Tens of thousands of voices unified by victory fill the air as red banners wave and confetti rains down. Liverpool has just clinched the Premier League title, and the heart of the city beats to the rhythm of celebration. But then, in a single devastating moment, those cheers turn into screams. Sirens slice through the music. A car, out of nowhere, plows into a crowd of fans. 4 children are hurt, 1 fighting for life. 47 people are injured, and a city built on hope is rattled to its core. How did a day of triumph transform so quickly into tragedy? And more importantly, could this catastrophe reshape the way every major public event is secured, not just in the UK but around the globe? Let's unravel the story behind the headlines and discover what happens when celebration, risk, and technology collide. For generations, Liverpool has been a city defined as much by its resilience as by its football. The city's identity, ranging from its musical legacy to its sporting triumphs, centers on a powerful sense of community. Victories, especially in football, are not just wins. They're collective memories, shared by grandparents, parents, and children alike. The Premier League parade was meant to be a culminating moment for Liverpool FC and its people. The 15-kilometer route was mapped months in advance. Security blueprints were drawn, spanning everything from crowd control barriers to emergency evacuation plans. A sea of supporters thronged the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of their heroes on an open-top bus. The event was designed to be safe, joyous. But as Water Street filled with expectant fans, something went terribly wrong. Shortly after 6 p.m., a car veered from the ordinary, tore through the crowd, and slammed into people. The aftermath was immediate and chaotic. Emergency responders raced in. 4 children, among dozens of others, were crushed beneath the vehicle. Firefighters and paramedics scrambled to lift the car and extract them. 47 people were injured. The city council described the day as being overcast by a dark shadow. Yet terrorism was ruled out within hours. A 53-year-old local man was arrested at the scene. The incident, though not ideologically motivated, left scars as deep as any terror attack could. Why did this happen? And what failed within the event's elaborate safety net? To answer these questions, we must first understand why large public gatherings are simultaneously so jubilant and so vulnerable. Major public celebrations are, by their very nature, complex beasts. They're flashpoints of emotion and unpredictability, with crowds behaving as single organic entities. Security teams map risks, crowd surges, medical emergencies, and, since the last decade, hostile vehicle threats. But for every risk mitigated, new vulnerabilities emerge. No one expects a car to break through postal codes and protocols. In Liverpool's case, police had mapped major entry routes and deployed hundreds of officers. Barricades, both permanent and temporary, stood between fans and vehicular traffic, or so the plans stated. But the reality on the ground can be fluid. A city is not a fortress. Gaps in temporary barriers, left open for emergency access or logistics, present tempting junctures. Staff can be stretched or distracted, and in minutes of euphoria, situational awareness can drop. Security analyst Robert Moore explained, "This incident highlights the vulnerability of large public gatherings to vehicle-based attacks. Enhanced perimeter security, including barriers and vehicle checkpoints, is essential. Yet even he admits, no plan survives the chaos of real-world events unscathed." As news of the incident broke, the city's response was immediate. Emergency crews were lauded for their swift action. At least 1 child was pulled from beneath the car alive because fire teams were able to lift the vehicle within minutes. Hospitals activated trauma protocols. Mental health counselors set up hotlines almost overnight. The legal process swung into motion as well. The 53-year-old driver, whose identity is being withheld pending court proceedings, was quickly charged with reckless endangerment and aggravated assault. He is now being held without bail. The police, led by Assistant Chief Constable Jenny Sims, emphasized, "Our investigation is thorough and ongoing. We are committed to uncovering the truth and ensuring justice for the victims and their families." But policing and justice, critical as they are, cannot erase what happened or prevent the psychological ripple effect across the city. Trauma psychologist Dr. Emily Carter warns, "The psychological impact on witnesses and victims can be profound and long-lasting, potentially leading to PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Accessible mental health support is crucial." For the children and adults who witness the chaos, the memory may be as damaging as any physical wound. The parade, once a symbol of unity, transformed within seconds. Sarah Hughes, a local resident, captured the collective mood. "We came to celebrate, but now our city is hurting. We need to support each other and show that we won't be defined by this tragedy. It's important to note, Liverpool is not the only city at risk. In 2016, Nice, France saw horrific loss of life when a terrorist drove through Bastille Day crowds. Berlin experienced a similar tragedy at its Christmas market. And in countries across the globe, the idea of weaponized vehicles has led to a quiet revolution in urban planning and event management. The Liverpool incident, though deemed non-terroristic, still exposes the fragility of even the most careful preparations. In the aftermath, Liverpool City Council and the Premier League swiftly pledged support for the victims. Fundraisers were launched, counseling services were made available. Liam Robinson, the city council leader, announced a formal review of all safety protocols for large-scale gatherings. We are determined to learn from this tragedy and implement the necessary measures to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. But promises and plans cannot mask the anxiety now etched into the city's psyche. For many residents, lingering questions remain. How did the car reach the crowd? Was it a technical oversight, human error, or something else entirely? And, most distressing of all, could it have been prevented? Let's break this down further. Large-scale public events rely on layers of security. First, urban planners design parade routes to minimize risk, diverting traffic and setting up controlled perimeters. Security personnel are stationed at critical junctures. Surveillance cameras monitor entrances and exits. Temporary barriers, concrete, metal, or even sand-filled block vehicle access. But perfection on paper rarely translates seamlessly to the real world. Even the most meticulously crafted plans must account for the unpredictable. Sudden illnesses, misplaced barriers, an unauthorized vehicle. And the larger the crowd, the more complex the calculus. There's also the human element. During events, people want to feel safe but not surveilled. Too much security can dampen the sense of celebration. Too little is obviously dangerous. Organizers walk a razor-thin line. On that fateful night, the balance was lost, and the consequences were immediate. The media's role, too, has come under a harsh spotlight. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, graphic footage was rapidly circulated on social platforms. City officials urged restraint, asking residents not to share traumatic images out of respect for the victims. Yet the reality of our hyper-connected world is that such requests often go unheeded. This raises a tough question. Does the way we consume and share information after a tragedy help by spreading awareness and accountability, or does it harm by amplifying trauma and inviting misinformation? The Liverpool parade incident has therefore sparked conversations far beyond Merseyside. Event planners in London, New York, and Tokyo are suddenly reassessing their own vulnerability matrices. Security companies are pitching new technologies. Politicians are calling for stricter regulations, sometimes, critics argue, with little understanding of either the technology or the human factor. The economic impact, while not often headline news, is also profound. Major sporting celebrations generate millions in local revenue: hotels, restaurants, transport services, and tourism. But an incident like this can cast a long shadow, making future sponsors wary and insurance premiums skyrocket. Cities risk becoming known less for their triumphs, more for their trauma. The Premier League, meanwhile, has reaffirmed its commitment to safety. The Premier League stands in solidarity with Liverpool FC and the City of Liverpool, offering our full support to those affected by this senseless act. But for many, even the most supportive words ring hollow until real change is felt on the streets. Which brings us to an urgent question. Can technology save us from ourselves? Is it possible to design a public space, especially on the scale required for a citywide parade, that is both open and invulnerable? Or will every new security measure come at the expense of the very freedom and spontaneity we seek to celebrate? As night falls on Liverpool, the city is left searching for answers. The investigation continues. The families of the injured wait for updates. And in city halls and boardrooms far beyond the UK, planners and policymakers are asking, if it happened here, could it happen anywhere? More importantly, what measure, if any, will truly keep people safe the next time the streets are filled with celebration and hope? In the next chapter, we'll dive deep into the technological arms race now underway, exploring new methods of crowd management, advanced surveillance systems, and the ethical tightrope of living in a world where every celebration is shadowed by risk. But before we look forward, let's pause and reflect. Will the lessons from Liverpool drive real transformation, or are we destined to keep repeating the same mistakes until the next siren cuts through our joy? As dusk settled over Liverpool on what was meant to be a night of triumph, urgent questions hung in the air, mingling with grief and shock. Could anything have truly prevented a vehicle from invading the sea of red scarves and jubilant supporters? Or does every moment of shared celebration now require a fortress of steel and suspicion? Let's look ahead. What will this tragedy mean for the future of public gatherings in Liverpool and far beyond? Already, city officials have ordered a sweeping review of safety protocols, vowing that no lesson, no matter how uncomfortable, will be left unlearned. But what will those lessons look like in practice? Might they reshape not just how we celebrate, but how we feel in public spaces? Experts from both security and psychology fields warn that what happened on Water Street will have ripple effects for years to come. Trauma psychologist Dr. Emily Carter explains, the wounds are not only physical. Many who were there, witnesses, victims, even those following from afar, face a long road to emotional recovery. After such an incident, even simple joy can become entwined with anxiety. For city planners and event organizers, though, this day will stand as a watershed moment. Robert Moore, a leading security analyst, didn't mince words. No one expected a car to get this close. It's clear, either we raise the bar on security or we accept that these tragedies could become the new normal. What might the future look like? Imagine this. Every major city parade girded by steel barriers and vehicle checkpoints. Police and security weaving through the crowds, eyes trained not just on faces, but on behaviors. Surveillance cameras, already commonplace, could multiply, their algorithms scanning for even the slightest sign of erratic movement or distress. Facial recognition and artificial intelligence tools might flag individuals for further scrutiny in real time. Yet with every new layer of technological protection comes a new set of dilemmas. How do we balance safety with privacy? How do we preserve the magic and spontaneity of public celebration without wrapping it in a cocoon of caution and bureaucracy? It's not just Liverpool wrestling with these questions. Around the world, city leaders have watched in horror, and perhaps with resignation. In the wake of horror incidents in Nice, Berlin, and now Liverpool, the push for more robust event security is gathering pace. Security experts forecast a future in which no large gathering goes forward without meticulous vehicle exclusion zones and teams of behavioral analysts watching the crowds. But even as perimeter defenses rise, nothing can erase the psychological aftershocks. People who saw the car slice into the happy throng, children, parents, football fans, may carry the memory for a lifetime. Dr. Carter warns, without ongoing, accessible mental health support, the scars left by such violence can fester quietly for years. The city's response has reflected this concern, with Liverpool Council not just reviewing safety plans, but offering counseling and trauma services for all affected. Community leaders are adamant, Liverpool must not be defined by this tragedy. Council leader Liam Robinson spoke poignantly at a press conference. Liverpool is a city that has a proud history of coming together and supporting each other during challenging times. This will be no different. But beneath the reassuring words, another challenge looms, ensuring that help, comfort, and support reach everyone affected, not just those in hospital beds, but those scared to leave their homes, children plagued by nightmares, and the ordinary citizens now wary of crowds. The legal consequences are only beginning to play out. The 53-year-old driver, whose motives remain unclear but are confirmed not to be terror-related, now faces serious charges, including reckless endangerment and aggravated assault. It's possible he will also contend with civil lawsuits from victims and families, seeking justice not just in the courts, but in the public's eye. For some, the legal process brings a measure of closure. For others, it will never be enough. The incident has triggered a cascade of community responses, fundraising efforts for the injured, calls for increased accountability, and grassroots pushes for better accessibility to trauma care. Yet, amid all the heartbreak, there are moments of light. Emergency services, praised for their swift and courageous action. Imagine fire crews kneeling on hard tarmac, lifting a vehicle to save a trapped child, have become the city's quiet heroes. NHS staff, working through the night, have reminded everyone of the strength and compassion at the heart of the Liverpool community. As Liverpool resident Sarah Hughes said, "We came to celebrate, but now our city is hurting. We need to support each other and show that we won't be defined by this tragedy." So, what are the practical lessons? What does this all mean for us, whether we're in Liverpool or far from its historic streets? First, public safety is everyone's responsibility. While it's tempting to leave security concerns to the experts, the truth is that vigilant communities are often safer. If you attend a parade, concert, or festival, take a moment to note exits, stay aware of your surroundings, and alert authorities to anything that seems unusual. Even a small act, moving aside for emergency vehicles, reporting a suspicious bag can prove critical. Secondly, support those around you when crisis strikes. Trauma is rarely visible. A neighbor, friend, or colleague who was at the event may need time and understanding, even if they seem unscathed on the outside. Dr. Carter suggests, check in with each other, encourage seeking support if needed. Mental health should be a community priority, especially after public shocks. For city leaders and policymakers, this incident is a call to action. Reviewing security is not enough. Protocols must evolve. This means investing in better training for frontline staff, sharing real-time intelligence, and, crucially, designing city spaces that are both welcoming and secure. There's an opportunity for Liverpool to set a new standard, blending tradition and innovation to keep celebrations joyful and safe. Technology is part of the answer, but it is not a cure-all. Vehicle barriers, surveillance cameras, and AI-based analytics can help, but they work best when integrated with human expertise and community engagement. Many experts stress that the best defense is layered. Physical barriers, visible police presence, advanced technology, and a culture where everyone looks out for each other. Lastly, reflect on this broader dialogue this tragedy ignites. How do we cope as a society when joy and violence collide? What responsibilities do media and social networks have in moderating the relentless spread of shocking images? Liverpool's leaders implored citizens not to share traumatic footage, a plea that speaks to our collective need for dignity and respect, especially in the digital age. Ultimately, true safety is elusive. There are no absolute guarantees. But the aftermath of this terrible incident reveals something deeper: resilience. Liverpool, like so many cities before it, is already finding strength in solidarity. Fundraising for victims is underway. Counseling hotlines are open. Promises have been made, not just to pursue justice, but to make the next celebration safer for everyone. So, can technology and new protocols truly prevent such disasters? The answer is, not completely, not yet. But each tragedy is a catalyst for review, improvement, and renewal. Every city that learns, adapts, and invests in its people and infrastructure takes a step closer to the elusive goal of true safety. Here's a secret fact few realize. In the UK, the modern concept of hostile vehicle mitigation, with steel barriers, reinforced bollards, and anti-ram technology, was pioneered in response to events not unlike this one. Liverpool now stands ready to add its own chapter to that history, shaping the next generation of urban safety for cities across the world. What can you do, wherever you are? Stay informed. Stay vigilant. Remember that resilience begins not with walls or cameras, but with communities that care. Check on your friends, support your local emergency services, and when the time comes, do not let fear steal your city's joy. Thank you for joining us in exploring this urgent, heartbreaking story. Share your thoughts and your support in the comments below. If you found value in this deep dive, like the video, subscribe for more in-depth